Hi, Haunted Family. Welcome back to another episode. I got a mixed bag of stories for you today, so sit back and enjoy the show. Story 1. Buried at the Crossroads. I live in a small town in Kansas, and this town is really boring, so we do some pretty stupid things for our own pleasure and enjoyment. We have this place outside of town called the Crossroads. People out here, they like to go there during the day. Only the brave go out there at night. Me and some of my friends decided to go out there during the day. We really had no idea where it was. We took directions from several people who had been, and we found it, or so we thought. The Crossroads is a burial ground for witches. Graves date back to before the settlement of our town, really. We pulled into this drive and got out of my truck. And then we walked down this path for what seemed like 20 minutes. Then we came to this old, worn-out shack. It looked scary, like something out of a horror movie. By the shack was a house that looked pretty new. There were beer cans all over the outside of the house. We went into the house, and there were brown spots on a wall. To us, it looked like dried blood. There was a pentagram drawn in the center of the room. There was an animal skeleton. The door shut behind us, so we bolted from our truck. We got to the truck. There was an officer there, writing a ticket and putting it on my window. I asked him what was wrong, and he said, "We just can't park there." I asked him what this place was, and he told us an old family lived there, and they were burned to death by something, and they were all satanic. I found out a week later that someone went back there and burned the house down. But I think it was something else that really burned the place down. Story 2. Graveyard House. My sister's friend lives in a haunted house. Her house sits in front of an old graveyard, and one of the graves in that graveyard glows every single night. The name on the grave has long since been erased by time. The ghost of the grave lives upstairs, where Beth, my sister's friend's bedroom is. Beth has seen the ghost shoving stuff off her dresser. The ghost also likes to unplug her radio at night. Over the time, the ghost has stopped showing up in the house as frequently, but the grave still glows. Also in our small town, there's a house that me and my friend ride to a lot. We like exploring the house, until we noticed that the attic started making sounds, like someone was walking around in the attic. We both didn't want to see what was up there, but I was curious and just couldn't help myself. I asked my friend to give me a boost, and she did. I saw a greenish colored light in the shape of a man. I told my friend what I saw when I got down, and out of curiosity she looked too, and she also saw it. We still ride our bikes on the street and go past the front of the house, and every time we do, we see the ghost staring at us through the front window. My old elementary school is also haunted. In the 1800s, there was a cemetery there, right where the school is now, and the ghosts from the cemetery are haunting the school. Back when I was in 3rd grade, we used to have really freaky things happen in class. Once, all the doors and windows in the class slammed shut at the same time. In our 4th grade yearbook picture, my principal's picture has a mysterious shadow person standing on his right side. On the playground one day, I also saw a shadowy figure hanging from a rope from a tree. In 6th grade, everything on the top shelf in our room flew off and scattered all over the floor. We have no explanation other than the school was built on a graveyard. Story 3. The Strange Man. This story happened to a friend of mine. She feels it might be bad luck for her to tell the story herself. It was summertime, and she was sleeping over at her grandparents' house. It was about 8:15 in the evening, and her grandma had just put her to bed. She was about 5 years old, and it was hot and muggy in the house, and she wasn't a bit sleepy. So she got up and sat by one of the open bedroom windows to look outside. There was a pasture near the house, and it was still fairly light out. She saw what she thought was a man, wrapped in animal skins. He was close enough to the window that she could see him very well. He was tall and slender, and he had fur on him. He was chanting, but she couldn't make out the words. He turned, and when she saw his profile, she thought it was very odd. He had an animal's head. She said it was a long face like a deer, with large ears like a deer. He was covered in fur. She described the fur as similar to that of a shaggy cow or a horse in the wintertime. It was brown in color. He had a dead crow in his hand. He had long claws instead of fingers. He lifted the crow skyward. As she watched, he slowly faded away. He didn't walk. He just disappeared. It was still light enough for her to see that he didn't walk away. There were no trees or buildings to obstruct her view. Her grandparents were in another room. She ran to tell them what she saw. Her grandfather told her not to worry, that they couldn't hurt her, and she was protected. She asked who the man or animal was, and her grandfather told her that he would tell her when she was older, when she could understand better. The next morning, there was a dead crow where she saw the being. Her grandfather burned it. She never asked her grandparents who or what she saw, and they have since passed away. Story 4. Haunted Hotel. I was driving home to Maryland. It was a Sunday, and I was driving from Florida. I stopped for the night in Richmond Hill, Georgia. The hotel was a Days Inn, but the receipt still had Scottish Inn on the letterhead. I could tell that it was an updated interior inside, an older motel-type structure. Richmond Hill is about 20 miles from Savannah, right on the river. The intersection is a primary road leading into Savannah, and has a very nice bridge crossing the river. Upon a local's recommendation, I ate at the Love's restaurant just across the river, right at the other side of the bridge. This is a very well established fish camp seafood restaurant, where they film scenes from Forrest Gump. After supper, I settled down in my room, watching TV, as I like to do before drifting off to sleep. After an hour or two, I woke up out of my sleep by some unseen force rapidly pushing on my bed next to me, like someone was intentionally trying to wake me up. As I woke up, I felt a cold atmosphere slowly fold into the room. I was startled by this. I hesitated for more than a few seconds to roll over and see what was doing this. But when I did, I saw the mattress still shaking, with no one shaking it. I turned my head back. I saw a bluish, globe-like object floating in the air at the foot of the bed. It was slightly opaque. The orb lasted for about 15 seconds, until it dissolved near the ceiling. I had heard knocks and noises throughout the evening, since I had checked into this room, but I had just marked this up as noise from other rooms. Now I'm not so sure. I've lived in California earthquake zones. The shaking of the bed was not unlike some earthquakes I've experienced. So as not to startle myself any further, I turned on the light and watched TV until I fell back to sleep. I also purposefully did not look at the clock when this happened. I'm sure, if I saw the time, I would be forever wary of something scary happening at this time, if I was to wake up at this time again. I keep meaning to contact the hotel and see if anyone else has had weird experiences in this room. I would like to investigate it further, because I suspect, being right on a major river, near the coast, this could be old Indian territory. Also, since this is a major road into Savannah, I would like to know if this is where Sherman came through from Atlanta during the Civil War. Maybe him and his soldiers camped on this very spot.